YouTube, we are back on Stacks University, man. In today's video, y'all know we be reacting to my boy Smart Money Bro, and today's video is going to be 9 things I did to stop wasting my evenings after work. I will say this is very important. 5 to 9 should be treated just as important as your 9 to 5 because you're doing all this to make money, putting forth all this effort. You need to be putting the same energy into your own personal business. I want to see what he has to say about this. Let's just get straight into it.
Guys, these are the 9 things that I did to stop wasting my evenings after work. For me, I have a full-time job, and so I like doing these things after my full-time job. So I want you to pay attention to number 7. I hardly ever talk about number 7 on this channel anymore, but it was a big piece of building my wealth. It's a big piece of my net worth right now. So stay tuned for number 7. So number 1, the first thing I did in my free time after work in my evenings was I educated myself. When I say educated myself, I mean I dedicated time to reading books, to reading articles, to watching YouTube channels, listening to the podcast, and all these things about personal finances, about side hustles, about investing, about businesses. I use the time to educate myself. Now, for some of you, it might look like certifications, it might look like college, it might look like a lot of different things, right? For me, I just want to make sure that when I spent my time after work, I was gaining some new knowledge and some new information and some new education.
Man, if y'all don't know, knowledge is definitely power. Like, you can never, learn everything, but one thing you can do is continue to gain knowledge because it'll put you years ahead. Everything that I've read in books and watched on different YouTube channels, I never had anybody, sit down and talk to me about this kind of stuff. I was raised by a single mother, so my father wasn't in my life to tell me about finances, about hitting my head, about me being consistent, showing up to basketball practice every day. You know what I mean? Like, just the stuff that you need, bro. But he ain't lying at all. Let's go.
That was going to propel me and help me. And for me, it was about various different areas. It wasn't one particular thing that I educated myself on. It was whatever I was working on at the time to better myself or to better my financial situation, getting more and more education, getting more and more learning. Now, one of the things you're going to notice throughout this video is that I took my time very, very, very seriously. As I was beginning to say, okay, how can I build wealth? How can I make more money? How can I grow my investments? Whatever it was, I had to make sure that my time was focused. It's the one thing we can't get back, right? We can get more money, we can get more this and that, we can get friends and all that, but we can't get more time back. So the time was huge. So you'll notice that theme throughout this whole video. Now, the second thing I did in the evenings after work was I used that time to really build up my side hustles.
Yeah.
So in other words, if I had skills from another job or I had some type of natural God-given talent and skill, I would use that time after work. And for me, it was 5P to 9P. I would use that time to really get focused in on building this side hustle. That's
And think about it too. Right now, it is 7:22 p.m. I just literally worked like a 10 to 12 hour shift, and he's talking about this 5 to 9, putting this into your side hustle, especially if you already have one or you are also working on building one. That ties in with gaining more knowledge, which was the first topic that he said. You got to gain more knowledge in order to figure out that side hustle. Post the content that you like, just find something productive to do outside of work in order to really free yourself up, because that side hustle was really going to be your elevation. It's going to get you out of that trap of that 9 to 5 rat race.
how I built my eBay business. That's how I built my real estate business as a landlord. That's how I built my voiceover business. That's how I built this YouTube business, and including my one-on-one financial mentoring and coaching and writing my 2 books. Everything I did to build up my side hustles was not done during 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 in the daytime. It was done in the evenings because I still have a full-time job. Right now, it's about to be dark, right? But I'm using this time after work to work on making this video, right? It's building my side hustle. And don't get me wrong, I work when I'm at work, right? I haven't been fired from a job for probably 25, 26 years since I've been fired from a job, right? So I always work hard at my current job. That's really important because that's about integrity, right? When you're at work, do work. But after work, it's all me. It's all my time.
Yeah.
And that's when I can go to work on my work, right? So 9 to 5 is my job.
That's one thing too. Like, people are so, what's the word I'm looking for? they're so depressed to get up and go to work every day, but when they get off work, they're not putting any energy towards, freeing themselves up. It's about how bad you want it as well. Because, I mean, you can get all the time in the world, even on weekends when people are off, they're not using that time in order to put that into their side hustle and learn something new. Like, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But I feel like instead of complaining, just put your foot down and just get to it, bro. That's what you got to do, even when you're tired. Because guess what? When you tired or you sick, the motherfuckers at work, they can replace you any time of the day, man. The business gonna keep on rolling, but one thing they can't replace is what you built from the ground up. No cap.
To 9 after work in the evenings is my real work that helped get me to another level in terms of personal finances. Now, the third thing I did after work in the evenings is I invested my time in making sure that in that time I was getting these higher paying skills through educating myself and through working on side hustles, whether it was voiceover coaching or it was working on building my website or my communication or my social media skills and understanding what's needed on various platforms, right? What you post on LinkedIn cannot be the same thing necessarily that you post all the time on Facebook or that you put in the community tab on YouTube, right?
Yep.
Sometimes you have to learn how to tailor what you're posting that's helping you market and advertise your business for different platforms. So I was learning these skills along the way, right? As well as the skill of learning to help listen to people and help solve people's problems and be a problem solver to help other people out. That was huge, right? But these are all skills that I had to hone after work in the evenings. When it's 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, I had to be working on these valuable skills that are higher paying skills, or at least going to help me make more money. So for example, something as simple as editing a video, right? On YouTube, when I first started off on YouTube and I tried to edit a video, it would take me like 6, 7 hours, literally, to edit a 10 or 15-minute video. It took a long time, right? But I just kept working it, kept doing it. Now it might take me an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours to edit a 15-minute video.
That's one thing I do want to say too, the editing the videos part. I started doing YouTube when I was in middle school, 7th grade, I want to say. That's when I got my first laptop. I was recording videos on my PlayStation, doing like gaming videos, and I ran up probably almost 10,000 subscribers on that channel. That's what really put my foot into the content creation thing. I started watching other people live stream and post videos and content, and I was like, why can't I do this? And I just randomly started uploading. I didn't have the YouTube app on my phone in order to check how many subscribers I had or how much I was growing. I was just doing it because I loved it and it was fun. And then that's when I really stepped into this reaction niche. And I use a lot of my time like outside of work to, work on this, because I got the Patreon, we got the reaction channel, we have this channel, like we got multiple different avenues open up right now. But it's about being intentional with your time. You got to want to do it, because I clock more than 60 hours a week, but I still get off my ass every day and come here and grind. Come on, man.
On YouTube. That's a skill that I worked on, and working on that skill helped me do more videos, which helped me make more money doing videos, right? But I had to put in the time to hone that skill that was going to lead to making more money on YouTube. Now, the fourth thing I did after hours, in the evening hours, is budgeting and reviewing my personal finances. In other words, perfecting my money management skills after hours, right? In the evening, when work was done, going home, looking at the budget, looking at the net worth statement, understanding how could I add assets, understand how could I reduce debt, right? Or reduce the liability side of my net worth equation. So it was about reviewing and tracking my spending.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Regularly updating that budget, planning for future expenses, making sure I had it written down on a piece of paper and a spreadsheet, and just learning the tools necessary to be a better manager of my money. That was huge, right? I used that time, instead of like Netflixing and chilling and watching TV and all that, I perfected the skill of managing money and disciplining myself around managing money. I got to admit it. Look, I'd rather review my budget than watch a TV show.
Literally.
Now, don't get me wrong. I watch a little bit of TV, but it's really going to be old TV shows, or I might watch some sports, right? Some college football, some college basketball, some NBA, whatever it could be. Look, I watch a little bit of TV, but I don't sit and watch TV. When I'm watching,
see, it's got to be a balance. You got to be putting that time into yourself and also, relaxing a little bit as well. Like, you ain't got to just every single day when you get off, like, do it, but you got to set time blocks and just consistently show up because, like he said in one of his videos, being consistent, it compounds over time. And that's why he said that he's able to acquire all these different skills and tools in order to better himself and his finances as well.
TV, I'm working. When I'm watching TV, I'm creating something. When I'm watching TV, I'm producing a thumbnail. When I'm watching TV or listening to TV in the background, I'm doing something productive in that evening. And a lot of times it's money related. Now, the fifth thing I did was I networked strategically, right? So when I started to learn about real estate, one of the first things I did was I joined the local landlord association, or I joined the local real estate association. I used the time after work in the evenings to mill around, talk to, converse with, hang around other people that were at where I want to be, or going where I want to go. Similar, like-minded people. I use the time to network with these people. So
your circle is everything. Who you surround yourself with is what you will become. If you hang around bums, just guess. And if you hang around people who are millionaires and rich, I promise you, you're going to find a way to make some money for sure. And I've said this in the video already before.
When it was voiceovers, I used that time to get around and deal with the voiceover community. After hours, I couldn't do it at my job. So what time is left? 5 to 9, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., right? But I had to get around people that were doing it. So I built the relationships with people that could lead to mentors and partnerships and just growing in that space. Now, the sixth thing was in that 5 to 9 period after work, right? Instead of wasting time, I went out and I started to learn how to grow my investments. In other words, research, investing, stocks, bonds, how to read and evaluate index funds and ETFs, right? And other investment opportunities, how to understand REITs, how to research various individual stocks. How about the technology sector? How about what's going on with Palantir? What's going on with Bitcoin? What's going on with the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500? Learning all of this information about investments, right? What's happening with my TSP, right? C fund, S fund, I fund, F fund, G. What is all that? What is it?
Okay, I don't know what that is. I need to educate myself as well because he was at a point where he probably didn't know either. But all this stuff he's saying, like the TSP, G fund, F fund, I don't even know. WTF fund. I got to learn that.
Palantir. What's going on with Bitcoin? What's going on with the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500? Learning all of this information about investments, right? What's happening with my TSP, right? C fund, S fund, I fund, F fund, G. What is all that? What does it mean? So I spent time doing the research on investing, understanding how to invest, understanding the stock market, right? And understanding real estate, right, as an investment. So instead of wasting my time after work, I spent time on investments. Now, speaking of investments, number 7 is huge. Okay. The seventh thing I did, and this was really big from the year 2000 to the year 2008, 7 or 8, was I spent that time after work understanding the real estate game, canvassing neighborhoods for vacated properties, talking to owners, locating motivated sellers, right? Everything that I had to do in terms of real estate. Now, I don't talk about real estate as much as I used to on this channel, but I use real estate as a really big viable piece to building my wealth. So it was after hours, in the evenings, after work, that I would, drive neighborhoods, research ads.
And what's so crazy is you don't even need a crazy amount of money in order to get into real estate. I think if you have like 10% of what the property's worth and you put your money into it and you get somebody to move in and, blah, blah, blah. I think one of my friends, he put like 6% down into it. He stayed in it for a year and then he basically flipped it and got somebody else to, pay the rent while he was also investing in other properties. I don't know how he did it, but it's crazy what real estate can bring to the table. And I don't know, it's something that I really do want to get into because I do have a degree for sales, but I just think the state that I'm in right now, it might not be too big. Just in certain areas, like here where I'm at, probably so for sure, but like other areas, man, ain't nobody coming here. But I mean, it's always good to continue to learn every day.
Dresses. Really go in on screening my tenants, doing the maintenance and repairs that was necessary, or at least setting up maintenance and repairs on my properties for the larger repairs that I didn't do myself. It was all about that time after work that was huge, right? Back then, from 2000 to 2007 to 2008, I was in the office every day. But that was the time that I was really building up my real estate, and I was spending time after work focused on it. Now, the 8th thing that I did to stop wasting my evenings after work that helped me build wealth and reach my financial freedom was taking care of my physical being, right? My physical body, right? Making sure that if it was meal prepping, if it was eating healthy, exercising and working out. See, I don't typically work out in the mornings. All right? I don't think I've worked out in the mornings more than 3 or 4 times in my life, but I've worked out in the evenings, right? So that's when I work out and I do something physical, whether it's playing basketball or it's lifting weights, doing some calisthenics, it's walking, whatever it could be. Now, during my lunch...
Now, that's one thing that he ain't lying about. That damn store down the street, Aldi, they have a lot of stuff for cheap, man. You can get a whole bunch of meal prep stuff for no more than, $50 to $80. I just meal prep Sunday, and it sets you up for the whole week because once you already have that food made, you take it to work with you and you have it at home, man, you ain't got no choice but to eat it. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't eat it, you just wasting your money. But it's good for your health and it's good for your money as well because you're going to spend a whole lot more money eating out 3 times a day. Because that 3 times a day is half of what it costs to go to Aldi and get that cheap grocery haul. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us just got to stop being so lazy, bro. What are you doing on your weekends? On your time off, bro, 5 to 9, you know what I'm saying? You could be doing something like that, like meal prepping. It's completely changed my life, man. I ain't gonna lie. It really has.
Break. When I used to go into the office, I used to take walks over lunch. But for the most part, my evenings is when I have to work out, to exercise, to walk, to do whatever I want to do in terms of physically taking care of my physical well-being. Look, a 20-minute workout is better than nothing. Don't sleep on those quick 20-minute workouts because if you focus and you minimize the rest between sets or whatever you're doing, you can get a lot done in 20 minutes, even if that's all you have to do at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night or whenever you get off work and you have the time to squeeze in, right? And I know this is a lot of stuff that I'm giving you, and it's hard to do it all from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. But the thing you want to do is just take away the bits and pieces of what I'm talking about and see how they fit in your life. Now, the 9th thing is simply this. 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. has always been a good time to reflect and plan, right? Whether it's spending time going over what you did, checking out your daily routine and habits or whatever you have in terms of your agenda for the day, reflecting on your financial goals, reflecting on your progress, reflecting on the things that I have to do better, the things that I did right, the things that I did wrong, and just using this time to plan.
When your kid is hurting and there's nothing you can do about it.
Even if it's just as simple as planning the next day's task, right? What did I not accomplish today, but I want to accomplish tomorrow? I will be working on and thinking about that from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. or up until 10 p.m. or later, right? That's what I've done over the years, guys. The 9 things that I did to stop wasting time. It wasn't fancy. I didn't win the lottery. I didn't use my credit card, and I didn't leverage a bunch of this, that, and the other. I didn't buy a big old gigantic building. I didn't get an inheritance from anything. I just spent the time as wise as I could. Yeah, I got to admit, some people ask me, look, man, do you ever have time for fun? Do you ever have time to relax? Well, here's the kicker. Everybody's relaxation is different. For me, working on some of the things that I talked about right here in this video, that's relaxing to me. Working on my future, that's relaxing to me. Whereas some people might want to go to the basketball game and then to the concert, I get perfect satisfaction by working on what I want to work on. And I've had people that ask me, dude, you got to get away. You got to do this. You got to do that, right? My kids, right? They say, you got to enjoy yourself. You don't have fun. You don't. And I'm saying, maybe I'm having fun with what I'm doing. You should not make a judgment on whether or not somebody else is having fun based on your own lens. Because what's fun to you is not fun to me. And what's fun to me may not be fun to you, right? And some of you might work the graveyard shift and some of you might work the second shift. You got to find the time that's right for you to do those things, right? So, hey, I hope you got value out of this quick video. Do me a favor, smash that like button for me, drop a comment and let me know. Let me know what you do with your free time in your evenings, right? Instead of wasting your time, what's your routine? Let me know that in the comments below, and share this video with someone who you think could use it. And hey, if you want to know how to defy the odds and never be broke again.
Okay. Great video right here. A lot of great knowledge, and a lot of things that he said were 100% just, head on. You have to utilize that time after work, because that's going to be the only time you do have. Once you get into the habit of just, getting off, coming home, going to sleep, it's going to be hard to break it. But once you get into the habit of being consistent, showing up to your side hustle, putting your time towards your wealth and your health, it's going to really help your future. This is coming from somebody who used to waste their time after work and on weekends too. I used to be deep outside, partying, drinking, spending my money on shit that I shouldn't be spending my money on, taking these expensive ass trips for no reason, bro. But it's okay. You have to have them learning experiences. You know what I'm saying? But just take everything that he said on this video, like he said, the bits and pieces, apply it to your own life and just do what works for you. If one thing doesn't work up front, go back to the drawing board and start over, man. It's going to be something that works for you. Everybody is different. We are all human. And like he said, what he does may not be fun to you, and what I do might not be fun to you. But you have to find something that builds your future while also being fun. So you just got to have that balance in life, man. And if you want to really be ahead once you're older, because we are older a lot longer than we are young. So that's all I got to say. I'm out. Deuces.